All right, welcome to our live stream today, and super excited to talk to everybody about what it's like to go undercover and what that means in the realm of telling stories, try to save animals. Thanks for joining, everybody. It's really great to see everybody today, and it's a really special behind the scenes look at Keystone. Now, we're very excited to share all this because there is so much that happens when you're trying to put together a movie like this, and we wanted to talk to you about it and bring you on this journey. Now, just as a quick recap, in case you're new, we're creating an investigative documentary to expose the truth about captive elephants and how you can help save them. And these are captive elephants that are stuck in a variety of industries and also in a variety of situations in a variety of countries. So it's an important story that we need your help telling, even though we've got everything moving. So would love to know where everybody is watching us from today. Please drop a comment for us and let us know where you're watching us from. Now, the reason this movie is so important to us is Sierra and I have spent a lot of time traveling around the world trying to work on direct action conservation projects that also involve educational branches, which we often will go in and work with different groups. So we have seen around the world, we have seen the forests that are missing, we have seen the illegal deforestation, we've seen the reefs that are dead or dying, we have seen the lack of stability, we've seen things changing just in the short period of time we've had the privilege to work out in the world over the last couple of years. So it's very important because once we heard that elephants and keystone species, and there's quite a few keystone species that are important. We talked about Harambe. Gorillas are an amazingly important keystone species, and elephants are extremely important. They are such an important keystone species because they will help regulate our climate and our weather by creating carbon capture, by keeping the regeneration of our forests going. And we talked about that in a previous podcast. So it's super important that we make sure that these animals stay in the wild doing what they need to do. If they're in the wild for human use, then, or if they're in captivity for human use, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And that can create a big problem. And I would love to see if everybody can tell me, or what are your thoughts on what is a keystone species, and why are elephants keystone species? I'm curious what everybody thinks. So now when we go travel and we do documentaries, the one thing there's two really important things, I guess, really to know about documentary. One is that there's not a lot of funding. We don't have budgets. We raise little bits of money. We go out and we just find ways to get these projects completed. Now, the second thing is that you can't make a documentary based on the sound bites of PR companies. They're just going to tell you whatever they want you to hear, obviously. Documentarian's job is to go past the PR companies and to show you the truth. And there's only one way to show you the truth, and that is with cameras. And this is why I wanted to kind of show one of our rigs here. This is the rig we use to actually shoot Keystone. And it's this wonderful GH5, which is a camera that we love for being out in the field. But generally, we have a handle on it. We have our monitors. We even have usually microphones and a few other things. Where am I? There we go. But when you go out into the field and you're doing something that is a little bit more undercover, you can't walk up with an actual camera. So you have to remove things. And for example, on this rig, when we went to Thailand, we decided against taking the traditional rigs that we use when we're out in the field so that it looks a little bit more like a normal camera. And then the people don't notice it as much because what you're doing is you're very often going into places that they don't want cameras. And the trick is, how do you convince them to let you bring your cameras in there? So we get rid of that, and it's a little bit more like a normal camera. Get rid of this strap so it doesn't quite seem so professional. But then you are stuck with having to shoot an entire film um, with pared down equipment. So that is one of the things that we like to do is pare down equipment. This camera, by the way, love this camera. This camera we got after making Cancer Alley because we wanted to have more versatility, great 4K imagery, and lots of stability that enters and changes our filmmaking process. So this has been a big help in us getting in there to get the imagery. Plus, we have lenses that can get us in very close. And again, you don't want people to always know what you're doing. Now, my time at TMZ as a paparazzi actually ended up paying off because I was able to be comfortable in a situation where I'm not wanted. And that is often in these types of situations. Even though I was there, allowed to be in this illegal logging site, they do not want us there. It's always like, what is this guy doing? So, what we wanted to do today is share a little bit about what it's like to go undercover and why. It's very important when you know that there's a problem and that problem lives at the heart of your story. You can't you can't work on a movie to where you endanger the potential of getting that particular footage that could prove what you need to prove for the movie. When Sierra and I make these movies, we're making them for the animals. We're not making them for people. We're not making them for anybody. People aren't any kind of a consideration. Obviously, the people that live there, we have to take care to be cautious of who we show on camera because a lot of people will open up different stories to us. But we are here for the animals and we tell their stories. So it's very important that we tell stories in ways that best help the animals. So, one of the tricks is how do you go into so the first thing that we always want to do in a movie is get our golden nugget of information. For example, with Keystone, one of the most important things in Thailand for us was getting into an illegal logging site. Why? Because Thailand has lost, they estimate between 60 to 90% of its forests due to logging. And they made it illegal in the 80s. It became illegal. And it still is technically illegal. But what is often illegal in countries is generally just means that there's a little bit more money passing hands before it gets to the final product. Now, this particular one for Keystone was very important because, according to Thailand, this doesn't happen. But we had to go through a local governor and a local mayor in order to get to this thing. And it's probably the only reason that we were allowed to leave this type of a place. And so, you're sitting there and you're being monitored by officials or by, for example, in this logging spot, it was, local officials and the loggers, which became dangerous. It can become very dangerous because once you show up, especially as a foreigner, and a foreigner with a camera, even if it is a pared down camera, um, it just raises suspicions. These are stories they don't want told because these are the stories that damage industries. So I want to take you a little bit into the world of what it's like to be out there during this experience. So let's see. Let's take a look. Get on that one. All right, let's watch this one first. Everybody's really nice here. The mahouts are nice. The guys that are logging are really nice. That's the thing we have to remember. It's not them that's the problem. It's the industry that's the problem. I'm being very closely monitored. I have a government official with me. And so catching footage that I need to catch. As you see behind me, the logging is a bit of a challenge, but we're getting it. So they listen to everything you say, they watch everything you do, and they keep hold and they keep an eyeball on everything that you're paying attention to. So here I am in the mountains, and you know what we're checking out how elephants are used for logging. So I had to climb way up this mountain. It was not at all what I was expecting as far as this journey goes. Not at all. So it was a big surprise. But you know, first of all, I was shocked that it was up a mountain, and these elephants had to go up this mountain and down, back down the same mountainside. And I wanted to share a few images with you all because it was very steep, very steep. And you can see where they cut these little paths through. And that's the path up and the path down. And everything. So this is like a 40-minute walk to grab, say, about this many logs. These are all ones that they're pulling, these trees here, which are sometimes rubber, sometimes teak, depending on what's happening. Teak is illegal, but so is rubber. So is bringing the rubber trees down because there is no logging space. What you see there, and I'll play it for you again. This is the elephant stopping, finding some food, finding something he wants to eat. And the mahout is a little frustrated because he's trying to get work done. But the elephant is grabbing on to this and hoping that there's something that they can eat there. So, the thing is, the elephants are trying to do what's natural to them. And having to log is akin to being asked to go burn down your own house. They are destroying the very places they're supposed to live. And so we go up the mountain, and all of this we were able to document. All of this we already have recorded in Keystone, and we are recording the practices of this type of logging, which, by the way, this logging, when you look into it, elephants used for logging, if you go to National Geographic or other places, they're going to talk about it like it's some kind of a really great sustainable idea for logging. This is the difference between conservation and environmentalism. Conservation says use of nature for man's uses is fine. Environmentalists say leave nature alone, it needs to heal itself. Now, elephants are keystone species, which mean that elephants are essential to our planet surviving, which means it's essential to us surviving. And unless Elon plans on bringing everybody as a rocket ship to the next world, we need to keep this world. There is no plan B. We hear this a lot. Is no planet B. Hi, Miriam. Thanks for joining us today. Still breaks my heart about Harambe. That's why all zoos needs to be closed down. Miriam, we absolutely agree. Sierra and I are 100% against the zoo. It didn't really start that way, but the more we learned about Harambe's story, the more it worked out that way. And the way that the zoo interacted and the way that it all played out with them as well didn't give us any cause to believe that they were willing to listen or do something that was good for the animals. They're just going to hold their ground. Thank you for what you're all doing to help these precious elephants. Thank you, Miriam. It's an honor that we get to work on elephants. Now, we have some uplifting stories. Please, everybody, understand it's not just a bad news. There is good news that we can bring out of this. Sarah says, wow, that's kind of a hillside logging will lead to flash floods. You're absolutely right. Stability is gone. That puts the people down below in danger. Absolutely. That's going to be a big cost to the government, and they're already having flash flooding issues. And, think about America right now. We're talking about a lot of logging, which is going to remove a lot of the natural courses, which we might be seeing more flooding disasters in our own country as well. And Miriam, yes, thank you. Miriam says, thanks for documenting what's really going on to bring awareness to the truth, and really appreciate that, Miriam. It's important to us that we just take our cameras where things are happening, and we want everybody to come up with their own option and their own opinion. And reaching out from Denver, Colorado. Hey, Miriam, there is wonderful vegan voodoo donuts at the airport. So whenever we fly through Denver, we love to be able to get those. And actually, I lived in Denver for a little while. Wonderful, wonderful part of the world. Absolutely beautiful. And thank you for caring so much about these animals. It's so essential that all of us understand the relationship we have with our elephants. Even though we're not next to them every day, what they do and what we all do with them affects their world. So these poor elephants, we have to climb all the way up. Meanwhile, you've got these guys that are mahouts. Now, mahouts are the people that um, take care of the elephants, and they're really nice people. They love their elephants, so it's hard for them to understand that what this sort of elephant exploitation is wrong in modern perspective, because in ancient tradition, it's often been seen this way. This is where we get the collision of tradition and progress. So we have to find a comfortable path to walk, and every country has its own way. Now, again, it comes back to the elephants, because as the elephants disappeared, so did the forests as all this logging was going on. So that's why they made it illegal to stop it, because they have lost almost all of their elephants. They have about 3,000 in captivity and about 3,000 in the wild. It's not enough elephants to keep our planet running. And they're also finding a lot of issues over there as well through this destabilization. And for anybody that hadn't noticed before or hadn't seen this particular one before, this is after we come down with the trees and we've been doing the logging. They let the elephants sit for a minute in this water in their chains. And this is one of the mahouts. And notice this is one of his knives. He also carries a spear. So the relationship between the mahout and the elephant, I didn't find to be all that uh, particularly loving in this instance. And you can see the spear is in the left hand of the mahout here, as well as the knife, and they use this to stab the elephants as part of their training. Now, this is another elephant that's used for logging, and you can see how what a terrible condition he's in, and he's really emaciated, and in another river, also wearing chains. This is that same elephant we were looking at, and what the mahouts do here is they put their spears up against their skin, so that they don't move if they don't want them to move. It's all about controlling these poor elephants. And this is the elephant that was logging, and I just wanted to share with everybody. This is the harness that they have to wear. You can see the deformities in the spine from all of this hard work moving all these logs. And you can see the chains. And these chains don't come off. These chains are on the entire time they're logging. Now, logging is not the only industry that these animals are are being exploited for. But I wanted to share another thing, and so the hard part is you go to these places, your life is in danger because, we drove about an hour to the middle of nowhere where the logging happens is not by the major roads. So you're out with people you don't know, in an environment you don't know, and they're suspicious of the camera. It got very tense, very tense. There were moments where I was sending messages to Sierra because we decided for this one, we'd have one person go in the field and one person stay at base to just make sure everything's okay. Because you always have to work as a team. It's always a team effort. So I knew that I was safe because she knew that I was safe at the moment. And luckily I had a signal out there. So I was keeping her as updated as I could without them wondering too much who I'm messaging. Meanwhile, they're getting suspicious of me because I'm using my cell phone, but I'm also using a camera, which, like I said, even pared down, it's not a big. They wouldn't expect this to be a 4K, um, you know, movie camera. So we have that in our, in our luck. But one of the things you have to do when you're there is you have to become friends with them, and it's really hard. I've been deep in the middle of the Amazon where, I've seen people that are killing monkeys, and I have to laugh and be friends with them so I can I can learn more and I can share it. I can't stop what's in front of me very often. It's too big for one person to do it. And if I could, I would act. I would act over image any moment. But if it's too big to act, the next thing you can do is educate and share those images, as hard as it is, because you always walk away sort of with survivor's guilt, and you always feel like you didn't do enough. And that's the hard part of conservation. So, one of the reasons is, you want to learn more and more. And I want to give everybody a great example here. Here is where I got them to open up and start talking to me about the ivory trade, in Thailand. People don't talk about that very often. Now, one interesting thing to learn when you're looking at these tusks, you can see that the tusks are smooth. Now, that is where the jawline is. So where that line is, where it goes from tusk to smooth, is where the jawline meets. What that means is this elephant was dead before these tusks were removed. Very often, they will have to hide the bodies of these elephants so people don't come steal the tusks. But who is stealing the tusks? The tusks are going somewhere. And as I'm looking at from this mahout, perhaps to him. So hey, Bruce, thank you for joining. I just see that you're there. Sorry, I get so wrapped up. Hey, Agnes, thank you for joining. Our heart definitely hurts for them as well. And I agree, it is all connected. You ruin one, you ruin the other. And we have to know that all of it is one. It's all about biodiversity. And that's why keystones are so important. And, we learned about keystones during making of Harambe. Here's the thing. A lot of us are very educated conservationists or environmentalists. A lot of us are very passionate. A lot of us spend a lot of time working, but we don't always know there's so many aspects. This is, this is why we have to keep learning. We learned about it from Ian Redmond, and we learned about keystones, and it was so important. Sierra and I decided, we need to focus on keystone species, because any keystone species that is facing extinction, and by the way, manatees are keystone species, and they are facing extinction down here in Florida. And you've got elephants that are looking towards extinction. You've got gorillas that are facing extinction. There's too many animals around the world facing extinction. But the good news is, and I know it sounds a little crazy, but it's okay. We can also fix this. Industry cannot always win. And Agnes is right. They must understand what you're doing. Are they held hostage, as are the elephants? Makes you wonder. See? There's too many animals being used for human use. And we need to appreciate that they are what are called keystones. And we need to re-examine our relationship to other species around the world. Peter Singer talks about this as speciesism. Speciesism is where, people look and try to create these these distinctions. Anti-speciesism. We are all deserve a place on earth, place we were brought to, place where we're all here for a reason of some form. Nature has some intent. The bees are pollinators. So what are people's purpose? I'd be really curious to see what everybody thinks. What do you think our intent, nature's intent, or if you're religious, God's intent, or if you're not, or nature's intent? What is our intent as humans? What do we offer to the world? We're learning what keystone species do. So, I wanted to share that because, again, I wanted to bring back to the fact that we have to go undercover and we have to find these things and we have to talk about them. And we have to get people to tell us what they normally won't tell us. And that is, finding out about the ivory trade was, aside from the footage that we got, part of the reason we were there. We wanted to investigate, go a little further. I'm just going to share another piece of footage really quickly with you of the elephant, this poor elephant that went up and down the mountain. And they just give this little teeny break. that was the bath and then going up the bath. So we can't always focus on the problems. We have to know what the problems are. People don't know this is happening. And that's why it's very important. That's why we go undercover. Once we go undercover, we can start to say, yes, we're making a movie. This is why we start our movies without telling people. We start them with our own money. We start with our own seed money. Um, you know, we're the ones that begin it, and we've brought Keystone to as far as we can. We are on our last lap to get to this finish line, and we really need your help. And I wanted to say a special thank you today to longtime friend Georgie Jessup, who has been one of our sponsors here and one of our investors into Keystone, somebody that's going to help this movie become a reality. And we thank you, Georgie, because we've given all that we can, and this story deserves a bigger platform. It deserves to be heard. It deserves to be spoken to and spoken about worldwide. And we all need to do something about elephants. If you're in Asia, you've got captivity issues, you have logging issues. If you're in the Americas, you have captivity issues with zoo issues, like Lucy in the Edmonton Zoo, like Billy and Tina at the Los Angeles Zoo, who, great news, they're supposedly shutting down their elephant rescue, but then they're sending him to the Tulsa Zoo, which is another zoo. Ireland got rid of their elephants. Great step, but they sent them to another zoo, Cincinnati. So we're not doing right by the elephants yet, and we're going to lose them. We don't fix this. Now, the good news is Sierra and I have seen some of the worst in behavior, but we've also seen some of the best. And this is what it's all about. Keystone celebrates the solutions. Keystone celebrates the future. Keystone celebrates the possibilities of what elephants can be in our modern world. And that means not just a figure of an elephant in the shape of an elephant in a zoo, where a kid is going to learn right there. And you know what, Miriam, I totally agree. The animals are not there for us. They're here for a reason. And they all have an instinct. It tells them exactly what they need to do in the ecosystem, and they do their job well, effortlessly, right? Like these keystone species, elephants, they'll eat the seeds, they'll eat a lot of grass, and then they'll walk up to multiple kilometers a day, and their dung comes out and it has seeds in it, and it's the best manure in the world. And when it's in the light, just like Harambe with gorillas, it creates forest regeneration. Without this, we lose our forests. Without our forests, we lose our carbon capture and our ability to breathe in our world. So elephants are really important to our own survival, even if we do it as no better reason than the selfish reason of we want to see the world survive for our grandkids. That's okay. We need to know this. So it's super important that they're there. And one of the best stories we have to share with you was the opportunity we got to go on a rescue for 7-year-old elephant named Mongkong in Thailand that went from Bangkok down to Krabi, to a place called Following Giants, which is this amazing ethical sanctuary run by an elephant family that has been in elephants for generations and has understood the change and the need to change in what ethical elephant tourism means. So they are one of the top ethical sanctuaries out there. So it's amazing. So we were able to take and be part of this rescue. It was a long drive. This poor baby, it was a challenge for Mongkong. But when you think that an elephant can live anywhere from 70 to 100 years, and he's 7 years old, and he had grown up chained to a metal pole, brought out so the tourists could take cute photos of him at a very popular tourist attraction. And this is the problem, tourist behavior dictates a lot of things. So tourists, when you're out there, don't take those photos with selfies. Go to the ethical sanctuaries. Do not go to animal shows. Do not go to animal exploitation. Never ride an elephant. Never touch an elephant. Go to an ethical place like Following Giants. Bless. and a few others. And so, what we got to see was the absolute beauty of it, because there are so many people out there rescuing elephants right now, and there are people that are running ethical sanctuaries. And to watch a 7-year-old, so you go from this baby that's never known freedom, born in captivity, born to being prodded with those spears and those knives, born to being tortured, into being docile and freed, and within 24 hours, moved as naturally as possible. Would never even know that has gone through something like that. Oh, sorry. So yeah, I just wanted to go back. Bruce, I see, in your opinion, the Homo sapien is a mistake. Interesting. A general meme by environmentalists is a comparison image: Earth with man and then Earth without. Kurt Vonnegut covered this territory over half a century ago. I find that a very compelling idea. I would respectfully see it from a slightly different angle. As much as humans are the virus, we are also the antivirus. As much as we create the problems, we also are the solving of the problems. Now, whether we are just an evolutionary step or a final step that didn't work properly, something got miswired somewhere down the road, is all potential. But while we were in Africa, actually, we went to the Olduvai Gorge, which has some of the oldest remnants of man known. And there's been so many types of iterations of humans, and the animals that humans had to interact with all the time always shape the earth and the landscape of which we're surrounded. And it's gone one way, the other way. I mean, when we first showed up on the scene, I think we were mostly food, and then we slowly took over, and as we did, the animals went down. But we're supposed to be here, we're supposed to find a balance. We're a co-inhabitant. The earth is not ours and the animals are not ours. So but I do definitely understand that sentiment, because what are we doing right now? We're destroying all of our most important resources for nothing, so somebody can have some money. That's just not going to be sustainable. So I find it interesting. And Bruce, I would love to ask you a question. Actually, what I would love to know is, what do you think we will be the next step um, in humans? Curious, yeah. We're part of the hominids, so we've come out of a long line of various iterations of people. So yeah, would love to hear everybody's thoughts actually on that. What is the future? Well, until we know, we have to make sure we protect the animals that can bring us here into the world that we need, the world in the future. And there's a lot of great rescues going on. Like I said, we go undercover, but we also, in our line of work, get to meet some of the most inspirational people. And there are just people working on elephant rescues everywhere. Highly recommend, if you're not sure where, check out Unchained Elephants, check out Planting Peace. They do a lot of elephant rescues, and check out Elephant Nature Preserve. Now, I wanted to share an image here of an elephant rescue actually, and this was Canoon, and we brought Canoon to Bless, which is this absolutely gorgeous ethical sanctuary. And we walked for felt like hours in the blazing heat in the middle of a place called Sukhothai, which is this gorgeous like mountain range. And these elephants, you really see them in their nature, and you get a sense of what things are supposed to be, not like a zoo, but it's supposed to be like this.
Ao nói เดินไปแล้ว
Yes. Just the elephants doing their thing. They eat a tenth of their body weight, which is a minimum of about 300 pounds a day of vegetation. And you know what else we learned actually in Africa that was super cool is that trees can speak to each other. I'm sure a lot of people are aware. trees speak to each other through root systems and through mycelium, through the mushroom networks in the ground. And a lot of times, if trees have certain fruits that are open to them, or if trees have certain characteristics they want to try to protect, the trees will warn other trees. And in Africa, the elephants will come in and break off a branch from the tree before it has the ability to warn the other trees, and then the other elephants are able to get proper fruits and everything they want from it. So it's a very fascinating thing, that just because we don't see the communication doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And that's the same with elephants. Like, it's really amazing. To look into an elephant's eye is incredible. There's so much depth that we see, so much depth. Um, as let's see, Agnes says, Homo sapiens also gave us science to save both animals and man. Interesting, my point of view. Yes, we also matter. We must belong together, all necessary and connected. Too late. We all exist in the present. Again, my point POV. That's fascinating, Agnes, and thank you for sharing that. Exactly. No, nobody should have the control. Sarah says, if we continue to ignore science, fire scientists, and research, we may end up as part of a mass extinction. I just hope we don't take successful primates and other species with us. And I believe, Sarah, I would believe you're talking about the sixth mass extinction, which people do talk about quite a bit, that our planet is headed towards there. And I think, we have an issue where, unless these animals like the elephants can save us in spite of ourselves, we all might be potentially headed that way. Now, a lot of people will say there's no problem with the climate. Sierra and I, in our experience traveling, have seen too many dead reefs. We've just seen too many, flood areas. We've seen too many problems where nature wasn't working as intended due to human interference. And if humans are going to interfere, we have to have places that are off limits that animals are allowed to do that. So, again, that keeps us going. We have to remember that there are solution makers and there are solutions all around, and there's a lot of great things happening. And we really want to share that with you. That's another aspect of Keystone that we want to share. And, um, for example, right now we are raising money to help finish telling stories in India. We have one story in India that we can't really talk about because we want to go in and be able to investigate it properly. But here's an amazing solution. Somebody has invented a robotic elephant that people can use during ceremonies so they no longer need live elephants. So if it's just a symbol or a shape, why not do that? And if it looks like a regular elephant, why not put it in the zoo? Because you're just seeing the shape anyway. We've seen, elephants in the wild. Trust me, if you go to the zoo, you're not seeing elephant behavior. You're just seeing the shape. And people are starting to realize that, and we're all starting to wake up to what's important. And we know what's important is our world. And if we can't get a guarantee from companies and other people that they're going to help preserve our world, we need to do it ourselves. Netflix is not going to buy a movie like Keystone because it criticizes the power structures that are there. They are buying a TV show called Zoo Babies, which is a horribly exploitive show. And if you don't know about Zoo Babies, please watch Harambe. You can watch it for free on Tubi, but please make yourself aware of what Zoo Babies are. So, if we need to really find a way to move forward together. Miriam says, you will be natural to write a book and documentary in regards to the animals in this world that are suffering in the hands of man, being incarcerated, confined, used, and exploited for work, entertainment, killed for greed and profit. Then explain why is all wrong, why these animals should be protected and not killed off, what help they offer to our planet's ecosystem. Then explain the effects of all that is not just on the population of the species. And Miriam, I absolutely agree. It is so important because, for example, when we talk to people about captivity in zoos, they say, well, the zookeepers are really nice and the zoos do some good things. There's that part of the world, but we want everybody to understand these animals are pieces of a giant eco puzzle. And if we pull them out of this eco puzzle, the puzzle will never be complete. And we have to rethink everything through that exact. So I really love what you said there and completely agree. We find it to be just as important. Exactly. Symbiotic relationships are everywhere in nature, and we need to do that. We need to be part of that. We need to be symbiotic. We can't just be takers. So, there's amazing solutions going on out there. Like I said, there's the robotic elephants. There are ways that they're making changes in Thailand. People like Lek, people like, I want to say like Samboon, like Bless, like Ray over at Following Giants. Everybody is over there making a change because they're offering tourists new things, and we are starting to become conscious. So we've got one side of it we're working on. We're starting to help the ones in captivity a little bit and come up with ideas, but we have to remember that the ideas are just solutions of the past that we have, and we need solutions of the future. We don't have a good sustainable solution yet, and the only way we can do that is through conversations. Now, we're really proud of this documentary because we're going to have Dr. Steve Best, who's an animal rights legend. We're going to be able to have Dr. Ian Redmond come back and join us. We're going to get the Non-Human Rights Project, Mr. Peter Milton from Spots in South Africa, that works to save elephants in the wild. We have Lek Chelert coming in. We have Vicky Kaili, a longtime animal rights activist. So we have a lot of people that are working with elephants that are coming in to talk to us. But we do need your help to finish getting these interviews, getting this word out. We need to be a collection. We need to be a voice for the elephants. The only way we can do that is if it is a lot of us. And this is an opportunity. This movie is an opportunity for all of us to unify in one voice and speak collectively for the elephants. And not just one, but all, and not just one type of problem, but all the problems solved. And we have a solution in the movie that can save the elephants and save the world. We do. And thank you to everybody so far that has been supportive of the movie. Thank you. I've seen so many people sharing our fundraiser. We really appreciate it. We have 17 days left to raise as much as we can, to get as much of this story told as we can, to get this movie out. This movie will be out by the fall. We're working fast, and we need to get this story out right away. So we really appreciate all of your help. We could sit here and talk about elephants all day because it is one of the most important topics that we fell into accidentally. We just didn't even know how important it was. And we were very conscious conservationists and environmentalists. So if you haven't heard of the topic, it's because it's been hidden, and other topics may have had priority previously within, say, the eco press world, but there is nothing more pressing to the eco world than the elephants. So we have to bring this focus back in. Let's work together. We can do it. We can do it. We are a community, and this community will not accept extinction as a possibility. And I see Bruce had a great comment. I wanted to bring this back up real quick. I would ask all to consider semantics. The term extinction is an academic bon mot, digestible. In my idealect arguing for elephant superiority, I insert word extermination. As Elizabeth Colbert makes clear, we are very conscious of the genocidal behaviors of man. The solution: mimic elephants and bonobos, give matriarchy a chance. Bruce, beautifully said, and thank you. Absolutely, give matriarchy a chance. Love that. And I think what you say here is extremely important and very, very important to take in. And yeah, very well said. I got to keep thinking about that. Thank you for that. And Miriam, thank you. Yes, too many people are naive about the wonders of these animals. They need to be educated, and that's what Sierra and I are on a mission to do. It's not about us; it's about the animals. We are here to help give them a voice. Not be their voice, but give them a voice with the entire community. And that's all of us. That includes everybody here on this chat today. The more we talk about it, the more we can come up with great solutions. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for taking a little bit of that journey with us here as we talked about what it's like to go behind the scenes, the dangerous aspects, the challenging aspects, I don't want to call them rewarding aspects, but knowing that you have a story that's trying to be kept secret, that you're allowed to finally tell, that maybe not rewarding, but you feel a little bit more complete and you feel like you've done your job a little bit more until you see your next atrocity in the field and your heart sinks and you realize all you want to do is more. And that's all we can do is work together and do the best we can. And all of us together can go further than one person alone. So thanks everybody for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow. We are back in action. Let's do a bunch of lives. Let's keep talking about elephants and why it's important to get these messages out. And please consider our project. Please check out the Indiegogo. Contribute if you can. We know times are tough right now. If you can't, no problem. Please share it. Make other people aware. It's the topic that counts the most. And here's a link down here. You can get to it. And we appreciate any help, all the support, and all of the beautiful conversation today here on our chat. And I look forward to seeing everybody again soon. Everybody.